Let's move on to the second story. A tale about a kind, minus-hearted younger brother who was taken advantage of by his older brother. For 2 years, I sent money to help my brother raise his child, believing he was struggling. But then I discovered he used that money for a luxurious vacation. When I cut off the financial support, the whole family turned against me. Should I continue supporting them or make a firm decision to free myself? Follow my story to find out. Hello everyone. I'm Claire, 28 years old, working in finance with an annual salary of $200,000. I'm not wealthy enough to spend without thinking, but I live comfortably and can afford to help my family when they're in need. And like me, my brother, Rian, 35, is a chef with an unstable job. 2 years ago, his wife divorced him and left, leaving their 7-year-old daughter, Sophie, for him to raise alone. At first, I had no intention of providing financial support. When my parents suggested that I help Ryan with some money to raise Sophie, I firmly refused. I believed Ryan could take care of his child, and honestly, I didn't want to get entangled in family financial matters. But then, one day, Ryan showed up at my doorstep carrying Sophie in his arms. She nestled against his shoulder, her wide eyes staring at me. Ryan looked exhausted. His clothes wrinkled, dark circles under his eyes, as if he hadn't slept for nights. He sighed, his voice hoarse, almost on the verge of tears. "I don't want to bother you, but I need help. Can you lend me some money?" I looked at Sophie. Her dress was worn out and her little shoes were dust minus covered. I couldn't look the other way. "How much do you need?" I asked. Rian hesitated momentarily before replying, $2,000 a month. He explained that most of his salary had to go toward paying off the debt his ex-wife left behind. With the remaining money, he couldn't manage to support Sophie. Hearing that, I nodded. I agreed to transfer him $2,000 a month so Sophie could have a better life, at least until he cleared his debt. Initially, I thought I'd only be helping for a few months, but my support lasted over 2 years and I didn't just help Ryan. My parents also mentioned struggling with their bills, so I sent them an additional $1,500 monthly. At the time, I believed I was doing the right thing. I thought my money was helping my family, giving Sophie a better life. And I forgot one crucial thing: verifying Ryan's claims about his ex-wife's debt. For 2 years, I consistently transferred $3,500 to Ryan and my parents every month without a hint of doubt. I never thought twice about it. I was single, had a good income, and believed that family always came first. I didn't expect anything in return. I just wanted the people I loved to have a better life, and I believed they appreciated me as much as I cherished them. But then, 3 months ago, on my father's birthday, I discovered a heartbreaking truth. Our whole family gathered at my father's favorite Italian restaurant that day. The warm lighting and the aroma of wine and pasta filling the air. I felt genuinely happy seeing everyone laughing and chatting. Everything seemed normal until Ryan suddenly started bragging about a luxurious trip. "Madrid was amazing," he said with a grin, cutting into a juicy steak, a pure Spanish wine, and Michelin-starred restaurants every night. I froze. "Wait, Madrid?" I frowned. "When did you go to Spain?" Ryan blinked, looking slightly caught off guard. "Last month." I put down my knife and fork, my heart pounding. "And Sophie, who took care of her?" The table fell silent. I looked around. My father stared down at his plate, and my mother swirled her one glass as if searching for an answer. Finally, she sighed. "She stayed with us." Rian needed a break. A cold wave of anger ran down my spine. I recalled the last time I saw Sophie, her worn minus-out dress, her little shoes faded with age. I had assumed Ryan couldn't afford new clothes for her. I had believed he was struggling, that he needed my help. But the truth was, he wasn't broke. He wasn't struggling as he claimed. And I realized, after 2 years of sending him $2,000 a month, that I had been nothing but a fool. Not giving Ryan a chance to dodge the question, I looked straight at him, my voice sharp as a blade. "Where did you get the money to go to Madrid?" He froze briefly, his eyes flickering toward my mother before settling back on his plate. I saw the hesitation in his expression, like he was debating whether to lie. I didn't give him a chance. If I'm not mistaken, that was my money. The money I sent every month to support Sophie. Ryan clicked his tongue, set his utensils down, and leaned back in his chair as if I had just asked the most irritating question. "Relax, Claire." He waved a hand dismissively. I needed a break too. Raising a kid alone is stressful. My jaw dropped. A wave of fury boiled in my chest. But for a moment, I couldn't find the words. 2 years. For 2 years, I had believed he was genuinely struggling, that the money I sent was helping him get by, making sure Sophie never went without. And this was how he had been using it. I stared at Ryan, my voice dropping to a deadly calm. You lied to me. He raised an eyebrow, completely unfazed. Not a single trace of guilt on his face. I clenched my fists. I thought you couldn't even afford new clothes for Sophie, that you were barely scraping by to take care of her. But instead, you spent the money on Spanish wine and 5-star hotels. At this point, the usual nervousness I had seen in Ryan before was gone. He shrugged as if I was the one overreacting. I have to live too. Do you expect me to struggle forever? I looked at him utterly speechless. Was this the brother I had trusted all these years? When I finished speaking, my parents jumped in as if they had been waiting to defend Ryan. Claire, you're overreacting, my mother sighed. Ryan has been under so much pressure. He just needed some time to relax. That's right, my father nodded in agreement. You can't blame him for wanting to enjoy himself a little. You know how hard it is to be a single father. I let out a laugh, cold and humorless. Is that so? I pulled out my phone and quickly opened Google. A few taps later, I had my answer. Luxury Spain tour, wine tasting and 5-star hotels. I turned the screen toward them. $15,000 th, I read the number aloud. A trip like this costs at least $15,000 th. Meanwhile, I've sent him nearly $50,000 over the past 2 years. So tell me, does the pressure of being a single father justify using child support money for a luxury vacation? Silence. No more excuses. No more poor Ryan O'Ryan has it tough. Just a cold, undeniable truth they could no longer ignore. Ryan had been using me. I couldn't take it anymore. The anger surged in my chest, so intense that I felt like I could throw my wine glass straight at Ryan's face. But I didn't. I stood up, grabbed my purse, and prepared to leave. No one said a word. My parents avoided my gaze, their heads lowered. And Ryan, not a trace of guilt. He leaned back in his chair, casually sipping his wine. Then, as if he hadn't just spent my money on a luxury vacation, he dared to say, Claire, you're paying for dinner before you go, right? I blinked, staring at him as if he had just said the most insane thing in the world. You had $15,000 for a vacation but can't cover a meal? I scoffed. Are you expecting me to sponsor this too? Ryan said nothing. My mother reached for my hand, a silent plea not to make a scene. But I had had enough. Without another word, I turned on my heel and walked straight out the door, not bothering to look back. They could handle the bill themselves. As I drove home that night, only one thought filled my mind: this has gone too far, and I won't let them take advantage of me for another second. That night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Ryan's story kept replaying in my mind. He had told me that after his ex-modest wife left, she saddled him with considerable debt, forcing him to pay his entire salary off, while the money I sent was solely for Sophie's care. But now, knowing he could afford to drop $15,000 on a vacation, I couldn't help but wonder, did that debt even exist? The following day, I decided to do something I should have done long ago. I found Lisa's number, Ryan's ex-wife, and called her. The phone rang 3 times before she picked up. Claire, Lisa sounded surprised. Wow, I didn't expect to hear from you. I didn't waste time on pleasantries. I just have one question. When you divorced Ryan, did you leave him with any debt? Lisa laughed. A short, sharp laugh filled with sarcasm. Debt? She repeated. I didn't leave him with anything. When we divorced, we split everything fairly. Neither of us owed the other a cent. My grip tightened around my phone. Are you sure? I pressed. Absolutely, Lisa's voice was firm. If Ryan told you I left him in debt, he's lying. My heart sank. I didn't want to believe it, but there was no denying it now. Ryan had been lying to me for the past 2 years. He wasn't struggling. He was barely scraping by to raise his daughter. He had fabricated an entire sob story to drain money from me. The moment I hung up with Lisa, my blood boiled. Ryan hadn't just lied to me. He had crafted a fake story to exploit my trust. I immediately called my mother. The second the phone rang, she picked up. Claire, what's wrong, sweetheart? I got straight to the point. Mom, I just spoke to Lisa. She told me that there was no debt when she and Ryan divorced. So why did Ryan tell me he was paying off what she left behind? Silence. A long, heavy silence. Mom, I pressed, my voice turning ice cold. She let out a deep sigh. Claire, you have to understand. Ryan has been through so much. I gripped my phone tighter. How long have you known? Another silence. You knew, didn't you? I spat out each word. Another sigh, but this time it was one of resignation. Like she had run out of excuses. Yes, I knew. I closed my eyes, feeling like someone had just punched me in the chest. So you let me send him money for 2 years. Did you defend him when I found out about the trip? You watched me get taken advantage of right in front of you. Claire, you have to understand. Ryan is your brother. And I'm your daughter. I cut her off. But that didn't stop you from lying to me with him. Silence. She had nothing left to say. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. I get it now. Thanks for finally telling me the truth, even if it's a little late. Then I hung up. I set my phone down, my heart still pounding with anger. They had deceived me, not just Ryan. My mother had known me all along and still let me be taken advantage of for 2 years. I took a deep breath and opened my banking app. Cancel automatic transfers to Ryan. Cancel automatic transfers to my parents. No warnings. No explanations. They would figure it out when the money stopped showing up in their accounts. I put my phone down and closed my eyes. This ends here. 2 weeks passed in silence. Too much silence. No messages from Mom. No calls from Ryan. No one in the family reached out to me. I knew this was just the calm before the storm. And then it hit. That afternoon, my phone buzzed repeatedly. Ryan. I stared at the screen, my finger hovering over the decline button. Should I pick it up? Logic told me not to, but a small part of me wanted to hear what he had to say. I answered. Finally decided to pick up, huh? Ryan's voice came sharp and irritated. I said nothing, waiting for him to make his move. What the hell is going on, Claire? He snapped. Where's this month's money? Did you forget to transfer it? I leaned back in my chair, keeping my tone calm. I didn't forget. Then why is my account empty? He hissed. I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. Because I canceled the automatic transfer. A dead silence. Then Ryan exploded. What? Are you out of your damn mind? You can't just do that. He yelled. I have bills to pay. I depend on that money, Claire. I smirked. Then maybe you should depend on your paycheck. You have a job, don't you? Don't pull that holier-than-thou crap on me, Ryan shouted. You have plenty of money while I'm struggling every day. Do you want Sophie and me out on the streets? I let out a cold laugh. Be honest, Ryan. Is it Sophie who needs the money? Or do you need it for your next vacation? You're unbelievable, Claire, he roared. I'm your brother. How could you do this to family? I gripped my phone tighter. I've done enough, Ryan. Over the past 2 years, I've given you more than $50,000 I don't owe you anything. You're selfish. And grateful. I was always there for you when you needed me. And this is how you repay me? I let out a dry chuckle. You were always there for me, really? Tell me when? Silence. I took a deep breath. I'm done, Ryan. Don't call me again. Claire, if you hang up on me, I swear. Beep. I ended the call. Then I went straight to my contacts and blocked his number. For the first time, I didn't feel guilty for shutting Ryan out. I was no longer the naive little sister he could manipulate. 30 minutes after Ryan's furious call, my mother called me. I stared at the screen. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but I knew she wouldn't stop until I picked up. With a sigh, I answered. Claire, her voice was softer than I expected. We need to talk. Come home. What's left to talk about, Mom? My voice was cold. This has gone too far. We're family, you can't just cut us off like this. Come over and we'll figure things out together. I stayed silent for a few seconds. If I refused, she'd keep calling. You could even show up at my door. It's better to face it now and end things on my terms. Fine, I'll come. When I entered my parents' house, I wasn't surprised to see Ryan. But what I didn't expect was Sophie. She sat curled up on the couch, her little face confused as she looked at me. She didn't understand what was happening, but it was clear Ryan had brought her here on purpose. What was he planning to do with her this time? I crossed my arms and shot him a sharp look. Why is Sophie here? Ryan shrugged, trying to act innocent. She wanted to see her aunt. I let out a dry laugh. Oh, are you using her to manipulate me again? His face darkened. You always think the worst of me, don't you? I narrowed my eyes. After everything you've done, give me one reason not to. Ryan slammed his hand on the table. Enough, I don't care what you think. But you must start sending the money again now. I folded my arms tighter, my voice cold as steel. No, my father, who had been silent this whole time, finally spoke. Claire, you've gone too far. His tone was stern. Rian is your brother. Sophie is your niece. Do you want to see them suffer? I turned to him, my expression easy. Are you asking me that? Who exactly is taking advantage of whom here? My mother stepped in, her voice softer. Claire, I know you're angry, but can you just sit down and talk this through calmly? I scoffed calmly. I've been patient for 2 years. I've done everything to help. And all I got in return was deception. Ryan let out a bitter laugh. Help? How is it helping when you cut us off when we need it the most? I raised an eyebrow. Oh, and how badly do you need it? Bad enough for another $15,000 wine tour in Madrid. His face went pale. You little? Enough. My father's voice thundered through the room, filled with rage. Claire, if you think so little of this family, then you are no longer a part of it from now on. For a split second, my heart sank. Then I realized something. I didn't care anymore. I nodded, my voice sincerely calm. If that's your decision, I'll respect it. But don't expect me to come back. Then I turned around and walked straight out the door. No one stopped me. This time I was indeed done. I thought it was over. I had been crystal clear. I would no longer provide financial support, and if they couldn't accept that, it wasn't my problem. They disowned me. I assumed they would leave me alone. I was wrong. 2 days later, my office phone rang while I was at work. Claire, report to the director's office immediately. My heart pounded. I had never been called in so suddenly before. What was going on? When I entered the office, my director, Mr. Patterson, sat behind his desk, tapping his fingers against the surface. Claire, there's a serious issue that needs clarification. His tone was heavy. I frowned. What's the issue, sir? He slid a folder toward me. I glanced down and my stomach dropped. A formal complaint. Someone had reported me to the company, accusing me of embezzlement and misusing company resources for personal gain. I froze, my heart plummeting. Then I saw the name on the complaint, Ryan Thompson. I closed my eyes, inhaling sharply. Did they go this far? I looked up at my director. Sir, I can provide evidence to prove this is a baseless accusation. Mr. Patterson nodded. I certainly hope so. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking transactions, messages, and emails. I walked him through every transfer I had sent my family and explained why I had cut them off. I showed him the messages from Ryan, the threats, the insults, the demands for money. I even recorded my mother admitting she knew about Ryan's lies. Mr. Patterson scrutinized everything. Finally, he set the documents down, crossed his arms, and let out a long sigh. Claire, I believe you. I exhaled in relief. We'll dismiss this complaint immediately. And I strongly suggest you consider taking legal action against your family. I let out a dry laugh. I think you're right. This ends here. Rian had tried to destroy my career, but he failed. They had nothing left to hold over me anymore. That afternoon, I contacted my attorney, Mitchell Carter, a seasoned expert in cases involving harassment and defamation. Sitting across from him in his office, I gripped my now cold coffee as I recounted everything. From being exploited for 2 years to the false accusations meant to ruin my career. Mr. Carter listened carefully, nodding slowly before clasping his hands together on the desk. Claire, you have more than enough evidence to take legal action. We will take them to court if they continue interfering in your life. I exhaled sharply. I don't want to drag this out, but I won't let them keep harassing me. My voice was firm. He gave a small smile. Then we'll start with a less aggressive approach. I'll draft an official legal warning, a cease and desist letter. It will make it clear that if your family continues to harass, defame, or take any harmful actions against you, we will proceed with legal action immediately. I nodded. Do it. I went to my parents' house with my lawyer the next day. Standing at their doorstep, I clutched a thick envelope in my hand. Beside me, Attorney Carter maintained his usual calm yet intimidating presence. Precisely the kind of man accustomed to handling tense situations. I knocked. Seconds later, my father opened the door. His brows furrowed when he saw me, but the moment his eyes landed on the sharply dressed man next to me, his expression darkened. What the hell are you doing here? He snapped. Before he could slam the door in my face, I stepped inside. My mother and Ryan were already there. Ryan scoffed, crossing his arms. Oh, you even brought a lawyer. You're planning to sue your own family? his voice dripped with mockery. I didn't smile. I pulled the papers from the envelope and slammed them onto the table. Read it. My father shot me a wary look before reluctantly picking up the papers. The moment he read the first line, his face twisted. A legal seeth. He muttered. Attorney Carter spoke, his tone calm and authoritative. This document clearly states that if any of you continue to harass, defame, or interfere with my client's life in any way, we will take immediate legal action. Consider this your final warning. My mother's face paled. Claire, you can't do this to family. Do you want to take your parents to court? I crossed my arms, my expression unmoving. If necessary. Ryan shot up from his seat, snatching the documents from my father's hands before slamming them onto the table. Claire, who the hell do you think you are? You destroy your own family over a little money? I let out a cold laugh. A little money? You used that money for luxury vacations instead of caring for your daughter, Ryan. His face turned red, his fists clenching at his sides. You're trash, Claire. I swear from now on you are not my sister. I met his furious gaze with unwavering eyes. Good, because I don't want a brother like you. My father suddenly shoved the papers off the table and stood, his face contorted with rage. You are not my daughter. Get the hell out of this house. I took a slow, deep breath, letting the weight of those words settle over me. And then, for the first time, I felt nothing. I nodded, my voice eerily calm. Then, from now on, never contact me again. I turned and walked straight toward the door. Attorney Carter followed, pausing only to neatly place a copy of the documents back onto the table. Think very carefully. If you violate this warning, we will not be lenient. His voice was calm, but the message was clear. This wasn't a threat. It was a promise. Then, I stepped outside without looking back. This time, I was indeed done. 2 months passed. I changed my phone number and blocked all contact from my family. No more guilt-minus stripping calls. No more threats. I also requested a transfer at work and moved to a different city. A fresh start. A new life. No one could take advantage of me anymore. Everything was strangely peaceful. But sometimes on quiet nights, I still thought about my family. I didn't miss Ryan. I didn't miss my parents' accusations. But I missed Sophie. I didn't know if she was doing okay now that I was no longer providing for her. I could only hope that she was being cared for even without me. And then I wondered, did I do the right thing? I protected myself. I ended the cycle of being used. But in doing so, I cut ties with the people who were once my family. If you were in my position, what would you have done? Would you have continued helping, knowing you were being exploited? Or would you have done what I did? Cut ties completely to protect yourself. Share your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear how you handle this.